just that good. I don't even need a microphone. All right, this is it. Last one.
Finally, we arrive to the conclusion of our Eminem series on Your Favorite Band Sucks. At this point, I think even the haters would have to admit we've taken y'all through it with Eminem.
Mm-hmm.
As this is the grand finale, it seems a full recap would be in order. We have debunked Eminem's backstory of being some kind of monster threat on the battle rap scene. We debunked the narrative that he has stuck to his entire career, even to this day, pretending there have always been people trying to shut him down, even before anyone could possibly have known he existed.
Yeah, we should do that, though. I think we miss a real opportunity by not accusing people of trying to cancel us. Spotify buries our podcast.
I mean, that definitely happens.
I know. We talk about it. We should talk about it we should make it the story, you know? Like, obviously it works. We could be the Eminem of podcasting.
If anyone looks at those podcast charts on Spotify and thinks that is an accurate representation of what's going on.
Yeah.
That's amazing, actually. Yeah, no one is trying to cancel Eminem. The simple reality is that nearly no one is stupid enough to actually get mad at someone who is this persistent and obnoxious about blatantly trying to make everyone mad. We have exposed these lies. We have exposed the ICP influence. We have exposed how and why the industry got behind Eminem. And we have exposed how and why his music has always sounded so whack. Where we left off was Eminem finally getting everyone to begin taking him seriously thanks to the movie 8 Mile and its $41 million budget. I don't know how we failed to mention that in the last episode, but I remembered it as soon as we stopped recording. 8 Mile had a $41 million budget. So if that movie failed to cement the narrative that it was its only reason for existing, would have been truly remarkable. But instead of taking a victory lap, Eminem decided to take a hot shit on all the hard work everyone did by having Eminem's Show be his new album on the shelves at the time that 8 Mile came out. After that, that hot shit turned into hot diarrhea with the album Encore, and everything he's released since then has been at one phase or another of this balancing act he's got to do now between being funny and being serious. This is something we almost always have to discuss. Anytime an artist makes a big change in their direction, a bunch of fans like the old stuff. So sooner or later, the artist decides to go back to what they were doing before when everybody loved them. Only now, there are new fans who don't like the old stuff. So they start complaining. And from then on, the artist is stuck like this pendulum swinging between the different styles. For as long as Eminem tries to stay relevant, he will be stuck in this pattern where sometimes he tries to do Slim Shady stuff, and his sense of humor was always ridiculously underdeveloped, but it's only gotten cornier and cornier as he and his audience get older. It works less the older he gets. Then other times he has to try to be taken seriously.
I will say, going into this as a very passive Eminem listener, as in it is just passively around you, it took me a while to figure out what songs they came out.
Because you stopped paying attention when everyone else did.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I stopped paying attention a very long time ago. So when I think about these certain songs, I'm like, okay, when did this come out? It's confusing as shit because there's no rhyme or reason to it.
The album titles are super confusing too. Relapse, Recovery, Encore.
Right. I know this song because I heard it a million times because of whatever reason. Like, when did this doesn't even make sense. Oh, it came out here? Like, what the fuck? That doesn't make sense to me. Why did it come out there? It should have come out here. This is when he was doing something different.
It is all part of the strategy that I just talked about. So he's got all these songs. When he does the serious pop stuff, he's trying to get away from the Slim Shady act. And he often winds up overcorrecting in the other direction and landing on some sort of aspirational nonsense or whatever you want to call songs like Not Afraid or Guts Over Fear. I don't know how that title got through the crowd testing phase of thing. Guts over fear or higher. I'm not even going to get into the lyrics of any of these songs. You should be able to tell exactly the type of corny shit to expect just from the song titles. But they all sound like the same thing. So if you're just looking at the playlist, you're probably thinking, oh, there's a song with Beyonce and a song with Rihanna and a song with a fucking Ed Sheeran. So he must have like done an album where he brought in a pop star. No, motherfucker. There are like decades between these songs sometimes because he's just doing the same thing. That's all he can do now. He can either do Remember When I Was Slim Shady or I'm going to have to bring in a pop star on this one. I'm going to need some help from a pop star. That's all he can do.
Something that Eminem fans are going to have to deeply acknowledge, really. The whole reason why the band Imagine Dragons exists is because of fucking Eminem. Because they, for sure, looked at Eminem's ability to write bump music and background noise for every sporting event and Super Bowl bullshit, that they were like, we want to do what he does. We're going to write songs about being stronger and overcoming, do this together or whatever. Bullshit that he was sprinkling in throughout his career. That's what this shit is. If you listen to these songs, especially like the Rihanna and Beyonce songs, whatever, Ed Sheeran songs, this is literally background noise at a sporting event. Made for TV music. Which, if you're an Eminem fan, how do you get past that? Like, if you loved Eminem and his first 3 albums, how do you listen to that and go, I love this? This is the corniest shit I've ever heard in my fucking life. A young Eminem would beat the shit out of middle-aged Eminem. He would. He'd be like, you're a fucking F word, blah, 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 blah. He would be making fun of himself.
It is what happens as a result of everything that we have been discussing this entire time. He doesn't have anything to actually talk about. And his first solution to overcome that was the Slim Shady character. I'll just say all these vulgar things. And then once it was time to move past that, his options were very limited. He did Stan. You can't keep doing Stan over and over again. You just can't. He tried, though, by the way. There is like a sequel song to Stan. Basically, anything he's done, he has done a sequel or multiple callbacks to it over and over again.
The only Eminem fans I respect are the ones that heard those first couple pop hits and they threw their fucking Eminem CDs out the window and said, never again. Fuck that guy.
What he has to do is bounce between this nostalgia, trying to appeal to the old school fans who liked the Slim Shady stuff, or he can try to sell the product that is Eminem, especially the serious, aspirational sports anthem wannabe Eminem, to a younger audience who doesn't know anything about the old him. And that's when he brings in a much younger artist to help, like Rihanna or Juice WRLD or Kid Cudi or fucking Ed Sheeran. And speaking of cheesy trash, there is a new style of rap that Eminem eventually settled on for all of this serious aspirational nonsense. And to me, it sounds a lot like someone doing slam poetry. It is almost as if he was sitting around thinking of ways to start being viewed as a very important artist and thought, it seems like people treat slam poetry as very important art. I should try to sound like them. I should do that. Imagine the absence of any sound other than Eminem's voice. Tell me 90% of everything he's recorded in the last 15 years doesn't sound exactly like slam poetry. I mean, a lot of the subject matter is exactly the same.
Did you ever watch that TV show that was like slam poetry that they had like a whole show?
Yeah, I think we talked about this in like a second.
We for sure did. Holy shit, dude.
Deaf Poetry Jam.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure we talked about it.
Which, okay, for all you youngins back in the day, you couldn't just put on Netflix and watch whatever you wanted to watch. So if there was some really sweet softcore porn coming up on HBO, like Real Sex or something like that, which was really fucking cool when you were a teenager, coming up after Def Poetry Slam or whatever, you would have to sit through the slam poetry show in order to make sure that you caught the beginning of Real Sex when it started. So that was some of the most cringeworthy, holy shit, looking back at it. I can't even, as an adult, I couldn't fathom actually sitting through some sweet slam poetry. Hence, maybe that's why I hate Eminem. Because he's trying to do that. And so it caused me so much anxiety in my youth that I'm like, oh shit, he's recreating my teenage years and his terrible fucking music.
frustration to your early experiments with masturbation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
A lot of the way that Eminem raps these days and for a long time is very reminiscent of slam poetry. In order for us to talk about how and why that happened, though, we do have to backtrack and discuss what took place after the release of Eminem's show. Long story short, I think Eminem's new style of rapping is because he may have actually done significant and permanent damage to his brain, and this is not me making a joke. Sounds like after 8 Mile, so Eminem's show had already been recorded and done. What I am about to say is not an explanation for why the album Eminem Show is as bad as it is. After 8 Mile, it sounds like Eminem got into a hardcore pill addiction. Downers, sleeping pills, who fucking knows what else. Managed to keep that going without dying for several years. Then had a massive overdose incident in the year 2007 where he did almost die. It's not really worth getting too deep into specifics on the music he made during that time because Eminem himself has said when he was on pills, he wasn't even trying to make good music. Just fucked up and fucking around, and you can tell it's not good.
Phoning it in.
At one point, he started rapping in all these different voices and accents that he apparently didn't even realize he was doing until someone asked, "Why are you doing that?" Doing what?
He was that fucked up.
No idea.
Yeah.
Sounds like dude was completely fucked up, and everyone around him had to know it. This is not the kind of addiction that took place in secret behind closed doors. It sounds like this guy was fucking gone. There's no way that everyone around him didn't know this, but as usual, Money Train has to keep going that way, down the tracks. It's just whatever, push them forward, I guess. They tried to give the album Encore some kind of narrative by pretending it would be the final album Eminem was ever going to make. And even then, it still only sold about half of what Eminem Show sold. That's how done with this guy's bullshit everyone was as a result of Eminem Show and the quality of music after that. In this same period, though, there is some music I do want to talk about, which is someone thought it would be a good idea to let Eminem produce the posthumous Tupac album, Loyal to the Game. If you have not heard this, it is objectively one of the most fucked up things to ever happen in the history of rap. They took Tupac vocals and manipulated the speed and pitch to fit the type of terrible beats Eminem needs to rap over in order to sound like a good rapper. They also awkwardly spliced Tupac recordings. They spliced the syllables together to make it sound like Tupac was saying bullshit like G units.
That's insane.
The title track of the album is called Loyal to the Game. Listen to the title track, then go on YouTube and find the original Tupac recording, which got released. You can find that from the cassette version of the Above the Rim soundtrack. So it's a little bit of a deep cut to hear the original, but you should, so you can find out the difference between how Tupac sounded and what Eminem did to that. If you think people these days playing around with AI voices is disrespectful to someone's legacy, I promise you this was so much worse.
Imagine listening to that thinking, man, Tupac raps just like Eminem. This is really wild.
It's completely insane, and Eminem probably doesn't even remember doing it. He has talked about how there's maybe 5 whole years that he doesn't remember because of all the drugs. And that's not something you come out the other side of and you're just fine, all right? If you don't know, it's not as though you just pop up one day, hey guys, stopped poisoning my brain every day for 5 years, so it's me again. I'm back to normal. I'm the guy you've always known. It just doesn't happen that way.
I have returned. My brain is fully functioning again. It's a miracle. The drugs did no permanent damage to my mind. I am ready to rap again.
Just watching footage, which I've watched a lot of it to record these episodes, Eminem has not looked as if he's all the way there since roughly the year 2003, I think. If you watch interview footage from 2002 or earlier and interview footage from 2004 or later, it seems pretty clear to me that you're looking at a very different person on a functional level. The processes that are happening in here are way fucking different. Again, not even making fun of him right now. This sucks, but it does look like he has to focus way harder on everything being said to him in order to pay attention to it. Mm-hmm. The answers do not come fast or easy, and they used to. Maybe that explains some things. His manager, Paul Rosenberg, who everyone who is a fan is familiar with from all the skits on the albums, has a podcast. Not sure why, but on one podcast episode of Eminem's manager and Eminem, they discussed the 2007 overdose. They straight up discussed how they were both worried that Eminem might have permanent brain damage. And they're kind of trying to act jokey and laughing about it. But if you actually go listen to this, there's some awkwardness here, man. Like, it sounds pretty fucking awkward during that part of the conversation. They talk about how after the overdose, when Eminem started getting back into rapping, he sent Rosenberg some music, and Rosenberg was like, oh shit, I think this dude broke his brain. This is not only is this not good, it's like, what the fuck bad. Is happening?
Yeah. He may have actually cooked his fucking brain. Holy shit.
They talk about how Eminem had to relearn how to rap from scratch, just like how you've seen in movies where someone gets hurt really fucking bad and they have to learn how to walk or talk again. That's what he had to do with rapping. And here's the thing. They talk about all of this as if it's the past and something that happened in the past. And they're just talking about Eminem successfully relearning how to rap. And now he's fucking great and everything. I just don't know about that, man. They reference individual songs as proof of Eminem getting it back together. You go listen to those songs and tell me if you think that sounds like evidence of someone who doesn't have brain damage.
He's still in recovery. Pun intended.
I think so, man. They specifically talk about the relapse songs 3 a.m. and Underground, making them feel as though Humpty Dumpty got put back together again. Compared to both of those songs, everything he did prior to overdosing comes off like fucking Shakespeare. The lyrics of both 3 a.m. and Underground make so many references to Hannah Montana. It's as if Eminem remembered everyone expects him to be weird about girl celebrities, but when he tries to go there, his mind can only keep giving him the same one over and over again.
I went and listened to it. I was like, oh, is he trying to just do like a modernized version of his old shtick? Because that's kind of what it sounds like.
Yes.
He's dropping words that he knows are going to be offensive. Okay, in 1999 and 2001, he's like, oh, I'm an obnoxious rapper, right? That's what I do. So I'm just going to say obnoxious, dumb shit that I think is going to get a rise out of people. Only this time, instead of talking about Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears, I'm going to talk about Hannah Montana because she's popular, right? It feels like he's just drudging back through his old catalog and finding, oh, wait, okay, this upset people. I'm going to do this again. It's as if he really is reverted back to being a fucking kid again.
But a much more myopic version of it. So whereas before, he sort of had this laundry list approach. If I reference 75 individual celebrities in this song, it's surely going to get a rise out of someone. Like each one of these is going to offend a different kind of person. So let's just fucking hit them all. Here he's like, all right. And then here's where I would do Christina Aguilera, Hannah Montana. And here's where I would do Britney Spears, Hannah Montana. and then a Spice Girl. Yeah. It's got to be Hannah Montana again.
Which also, real quick, at the time, how fucking old was she? She was a teenager.
I think that was kind of the part of the shtick where it's just like, well, fuck it. If I'm not going to be good at this, I better get real offensive.
Imagine being that far into your career and you're still just writing childish bullshit.
About childish bullshit.
Right.
Childish bullshit about other childish bullshit.
But I guess if 5 years of your life is missing from your brain, in his mind, maybe he was like, oh, I'm still rapping like this, right?
Meanwhile, he's almost fucking 40. Yeah. His fans are like 35 or something. And what does he think they're going to be like? Finally, someone is taking down Hannah Montana, the thing that I have needed in my life. Not only does he get hung up on Hannah Montana, there's a part early on in 3 a.m. where he gets into some weird mental loop with the word corner and just starts rhyming corner with corner. He does it like 3 times while also throwing in near homonyms of corner, like coroner and cornea. If you have spent any time in your life listening or watching recordings of people with schizophrenia talking, or people with brain damage, they get stuck in these mental loops. Their brain can only go on like a 3-second, 4-second loop. And when it ends, it goes right back to the beginning. It sounds like that, man. It doesn't sound like the most commercially successful rapper of all time is now back on his game. It sounds like a fucking phone call needs to be made.
Real quick, to go back to what we were saying before, at the time, the reason why it was funny and kitschy that he was rapping about Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears is because they were his peers. They were the ones that were also popular at the fucking time. They were in the fucking news all the time because they were popular at the time.
He was way older than them,
yes,
too, but he was lying about his age, so no one really knew that.
Sure. Picking on Hannah Montana as a grown-ass man is fucking goofy and weird.
Why do you know what that is, man? It's kind of strange. It's kind of strange, bro.
Yeah, that's definitely some weird shit. Now, if he was still picking on Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears, it would have been like, oh, well, at least that makes sense. He's consistently...
Get him! Get him!
That's right. He's consistent with it. But, picking on Hannah Montana as a grown-ass man is a little weird.
Where early Slim Shady lyrics were scatterbrained because Eminem didn't really have anything interesting to say, these songs are all scatterbrained in a way that feels like a person who is trying to keep talking, even though they can't remember why they started talking. No fucking clue what they thought they were going to say. They have no idea how to wrap this up, but they just keep pushing forward like no one's gonna figure it out. That's this, man. There's a fundamentally dysfunctional aspect to the syntax of Eminem lyrics. His style as a rapper is radically different from what he was doing before the overdose. The stand narrative is, shit got weird when Eminem was really fucked up, but he came out the other side of it with a renewed focus. Everything's okay now. In fact, I would say he's the best rapper ever. We should listen to Eminem when he said he had to relearn how to rap from scratch. That sounds like what happened. It sounds like he had to relearn how to rap from scratch. It sounds like his ego needed to find a way for everyone to keep talking about him as if he was still a great rapper. And what he landed on was, I'm going to do slam poetry. When I say slam poetry, I'm talking about the style of cadence Eminem uses. It's in the way he manipulates the intensity of what he's saying in order to really throw emphasis down on the part he thinks is particularly clever. And this is the part that's really crucial to nailing the slam poetry effect. What you want to do is have that particularly clever part that you throw the emphasis down on be some of the cringiest shit anyone has ever said.
Right.
I think I'm smart for pointing this out. That's a good one. If you can hit that one, good. Wordplay that's not nearly as clever as the person saying it thinks it is. All of this is integral to slam poetry. If you can throw politics in there.
Yeah, that's the thing that sucks. I mean, no offense to all the slam poetry people out there. Like, good for you. Do your thing.
Offense, dude.
Yeah.
Full fucking offense. Full offense to everyone who does slam poetry. Write a goddamn poem about it.
It felt like people would just talk and then just emphasize certain words like this.
As we said in all these episodes, there were always corny lyrics in most Eminem songs, but after the overdose, it hits unprecedented levels.
I actually went through to read some of his lyrics. He's just jamming as many filler bullshit words in there as humanly possible, but then trying to weave the actual words that he wants to use through it. I gave up. I was like, I can't.
I think the parallel is like a young boy, a pubescent boy who sees that all of his older friends are obsessed with having a big dick because they think having a big dick is what matters when it comes to sex and being a desirable sexual partner. It's just having a big dick is the only thing that matters, right?
Sure.
It's got nothing to do with any other aspect of having sex. It's just the size of your dick, right? That's basically how Eminem approaches rap. The words are his dick. So if he can like have the most dick, then that's all that matters. He's not really trying to do anything good with the dick. It's just going to be the biggest dick in the room.
He doesn't actually know how to use it. Look how fast I can move my lips and move my tongue. La, 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 la. I can say literally nothing in the equivalent of a small book for every song. Less is more. A majority of the time, if you think about music that you love, regardless of the genre, less is more. Not more is more. Same thing with comedy. When somebody just rambles on and on and on forever, it's eventually you're just like, this is fucking stupid. I had to sit through 10 fucking minutes of that story for you to tell this stupid joke.
And a lot of the lyrics look like placeholder lyrics, actually. It looks like he's just putting something there to fit the rhyme scheme. I'll come back and do something better later, but then he never does. And where this is most obvious is when he's trying to be funny. Anytime he's trying to tell a joke now, it's really punishing to experience someone else being this bad at being funny. It is almost as if he remembers comedy is a thing that does exist, but he can't quite get his brain to do it. He thinks he's doing setup and delivery on a punchline, but each time he does it, you're still listening, waiting for him to do it. And then you're like, oh, wait, that was it? That's the fucking joke that you just set up?
It's like, I wonder and I'm being serious. I wonder if some of the things he said would be funny if somebody that could actually deliver what he was saying in a funny way.
Absolutely not.
No?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
No
yeah,
way.
so there you go. So it's not even really funny at all.
No jokes. Kanye has talked about how Drake is such a good writer that Kanye would rather have Drake write all of his raps than like 12 ghostwriters do it. If I could have one Drake versus 12, 15 ghostwriters, I'll take the Drake. You're never going to hear anyone say that about Eminem. The song Like Home from 2017, trigger warning, this one's about the Trump administration. But it is also a great example of mangling the English language to disguise the fact that you don't have a fucking point. Our spirit's crushed and this spot's a tight one, but the jaws of life come to pull us from the wreckage. That's what we get pride from when we can't from our stars and stripes, because this type of pickle that we're in is hard to dill.
Wow, man.
Yeah, dude.
Deep.
That's where we get pride from when we can't from our stars and stripes is such a dumb way to try to express that thought. I understand what he's trying to say. I'm just saying there's a
stupid.
better way to say it without having to think about it. And then this type of pickle that we're in is hard to dill. Dude, you sat down and told your brain that someone needed to do a song about the Trump administration to remind everyone that everything was going to be okay. And you wrote this line in it. This type of pickle that we're in is hard to dill. Go fuck yourself. Fuck off.
This is what happens when you do not have anyone around you to say, nah, dog, that ain't it. Nobody around him, obviously for probably the last 20 fucking years, has been willing to say, that's actually a shitty bar, bro. You need to delete that and rethink it. Because of all the witty, oh, he's so witty, he's so smart. He comes up with these really funny tongue twisters, and then that's it. That's the line. How does anybody take him serious?
You just made me have a pretty funny thought. What if he has one friend who legitimately does think that all this shit is great and funny? Like every time Eminem runs it by him, this one friend is like,
sure.
Dill pickles. Dill pickles.
Yeah.
Dill pickles.
Yeah.
And that's why the rest of us have had to deal with this long. There's that song Tone Deaf from 2020 that I have already mentioned in the second one of these episodes. The entire concept of that song is tragic because he thinks all the shit he's saying is offensive and or funny, when really it's just sad to watch someone's mind try to work this way. The entire song legit sounds like a white kid who works in a mailroom and secretly thinks he can rap. Listening to it will make you question everything you think you know about Eminem. At one point, he raps the line, "Bitch, I can make orange rhyme with banana or banana."
Yeah.
And he does that even though he has actually rhymed the word orange multiple times in his career. Does he even remember that? Does he even recall that he has in fact rhymed the word orange, or does he only remember that that's supposed to be a thing that you can't do? Newsflash, you can do it, obviously.
Well, yeah.
If you think that Eminem has bars, I would love for you to compare anything he's ever written to the final verse on Ghostface Killer's Winter Wars. That song is from 1996. It clears everything that Eminem came along and did after that. I don't know how you can even take Eminem seriously as a rapper.
I would actually totally agree with that. If he has a couple moments with some clever words, the motherfucker has written 100 goddamn songs at this point. 4 songs with clever wordplay. Like,
he should accidentally have written more lyrics that are better than this.
yes, if you look at just the sheer volume of words he's jamming into every song, he's gonna have some songs that are clever just because he's jammed so many fucking rhyming words. It's just default going to happen.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on Rap God or Godzilla because those are the 2 songs that fucking all the comments on the first 3 uploads from this series are going to be on Rap God and Godzilla. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. But I think it's kind of interesting that both times Eminem recorded songs where he clearly decided, I'm going to set the narrative that I'm the greatest rapper of all time. And how I'm going to do that is to do it really fast. Both times he had to put the word God in the song title. Rap God, Godzilla. Again, it is as if his mind almost has a thought and it can only bring him one piece of a thought that he has almost had. B, if you stop glazing him for spitting syllables really fast and look at what those syllables actually add up to, he's saying nothing.
Yeah.
This flibbity dibbity hippity hip hop. You don't really want to get into a pissin' match with this rappity brat packing a Mac in the back of the ack. Backpack, rap, crap, yap, yap, yakety yak. Those are real lyrics, man. Innovative, and I'm made of rubber so that anything you say is ricocheting off of me and it'll glue to you, and I'm devastating more than ever. Demonstrating how to give a motherfucking audience a feeling like it's levitating. He's literally using the I'm rubber, you're glue line from kindergarten, but he does it so fast, people love it. And then the rest of it is just day one Sugar Hill Gang hip hop boasting.
That's literally the entire thing. When you say a bunch of bullshit really quickly, people think you're a fucking genius. But if you actually were to slow it down and rap it normal, then people go, what the fuck is he saying? It's so fucking stupid. Take a second and read the fucking lyrics. It's the dumbest shit ever. Both of those songs are so incredibly fucking stupid.
The Sugar Hill Gang stuff might have been corny, and yeah, some of it was just straight up stolen from other MCs who didn't manage to get a record deal as fast as them. But those guys had swagger. It's relatively corny, but at the time, it was cool. The shit that they were saying was cool. That's why it was as popular as it was, with like no resources behind it. Eminem had all the resources behind him to shove this trash down everyone's throats, and enough people were like, tastes good. Those lyrics were from Rap God. Same thing in Godzilla, by the way. I'm sorry, children, the greatest rapper of all time would never spit the line like a liar's pants, I'm on fire. That alone is how you know that Eminem cannot be the greatest rapper of all time.
Imagine writing the Kids Bop version of this song. You could actually just put it out. Literally, a child would say that. A 13 or 14-year-old would say, oh, wait, what's a clever way to say, rubber, you're glue? Or liar, liar, your pants are on fire. Ooh, got you. Look at that. I'm 12.
It's actually kind of mind-blowing that this is the guy, the same guy who once said, nowadays everybody want to talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips, just a bunch of gibberish. For the past decade, it's been nothing but gibberish from you.
Yeah.
The songs Eminem has received the most praise for in the past 10, 15 years, literally just him dumping a bunch of gibberish on people, but doing it really fast so they think it's impressive. He's not writing lyrics for the sake of the meaning of the words. He is just stringing syllables together in a way that will sound complicated to people who are stupid enough to get razzle-dazzled by it. The stands always bring up the Drake song Forever. There's this story about how Kanye and Lil Wayne, who are both also on that song, rewrote their parts after hearing Eminem's part on the song. And this usually gets told from the standpoint of, God, Eminem is such a sick rapper that we didn't want to be embarrassed. That's what people think that Kanye and Wayne are saying. But if you look into what actually happened, Eminem straight up says it. He says, I just saw the beat differently than anybody else did. For some reason, I felt like the beat was a double time beat, so I rapped faster. That's it right there, point blank. Eminem did not come up with crazy bars or even a bar that made Kanye and Wayne want to write something better so that they wouldn't look like dorks. All he did was rap way faster than everyone else on the song. Everyone else on the song knew that a bunch of idiots would think that meant Eminem was rapping better than them. So they went back and were like, let me do it faster, I guess.
Yeah, what's funny about that too is the Drake line in that, if anything, is super slow. And if it's a good example of how you deliver things, and being fast or slow doesn't matter. The Drake parts are better than the Eminem parts because it's actually you can listen to it. If anything, you want to skip over the fucking Eminem part. Shut up.
It's a song for the soundtrack of a fucking sports documentary, by the way. So all Eminem's going to do is his usual hack bit. There are no bars there. Everyone just needs to stop telling this story as if it's proof that he's a great rapper. Eminem is incapable of writing interesting lyrics, and he knows it. He has had it pointed out to him so often in the past 20 years, he even has a stock response. He says anyone criticizing the lack of real content in his lyrics is missing the point, which is all of the internal rhyme schemes he's using. The criticism is literally that he is prioritizing rhyme schemes over meaning of the lyrics. Completely idiotic to respond by saying, yeah, but what about those rhyme schemes? Like, no, dude, that's what we just said. We said your rhyme schemes are not as important as having lyrics that make sense. B, internal rhyme schemes are not some revolutionary technique Eminem has graced hip hop with. They are a foundational element of first wave hip hop. There are internal rhymes all over fucking Rapper's Delight by Sugar Hill Gang. And it wasn't new then, man. Edgar Allan Poe. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary. Don't start talking to me about Eminem's multi-syllabic rhyme shit either, unless you want to talk about Lord Byron doing that in the 18th century. Not new.
Yeah, the idea that somehow he was the first one to do that is bizarre.
Well, to be clear, he's not saying that. He's just saying that he's prioritizing this shit. But it's kind of like, dude, we were over that 300 years ago. Everyone's heard it, man. Say something. It's really weird that he gets so defensive when someone points this out to him. Because even if the assignment was rap as fast as you can, Eminem is still not the best at doing that.
He's not the fastest. He's not the funniest. He's a terrible storyteller, actually. Completely terrible storyteller.
I, for one, think it's pretty whack that Eminem decided rapping fast was going to be his new thing and then named a whole album Kamikaze as if that is not already the title of the most successful album by Twista. Much better at the fast rapping thing than Eminem. If you don't know who Twista is and you want a reason to never listen to Eminem again, check out the Twista song Kill Us All.
In my mind, if we are going to just Busta Rhymes alone, also a massive, huge artist. If we're just going to talk speed and flow and entertainment value, Busta Rhymes is way better than Eminem. Just go back and listen to the Busta Rhymes discography. Listen to a handful of Twista songs. They're better.
Yeah, man. Even if you want to prioritize speed and a technical concept over the actual lyrics, Black Alicious did Alphabet Aerobics in 1999. Just there's never a reason to listen to Eminem. Eminem, not once, not ever.
Twista, Adrenaline Rush. That's a good one too. Fast, but also fun. But what Twista did and what Busta Rhymes did and what a lot of the other guys could do is they could actually slow it down too. Almost switch their styles to where it was like, I'm going to rap really fast at these parts, but then I'm also just going to have this really smooth, awesome flow with like a hook that's going to be fun. And I can do it myself. I'm not going to rely on somebody else to do that part.
A lot of rappers who just rap fast all the time are trying to cover up for something. And
Right.
I would argue that's what Eminem is doing. But then you have fast rappers like Twista and Busta Rhymes who are hilarious and smart and capable of saying interesting things. So they are not afraid to just be like, all right, I'm going to slow this one down so everyone can understand.
If you put on a handful of Busta Rhymes songs and a couple Twisted songs, everyone is going to be dancing and having fun and whatever else you want to be doing, and it's going to be great. If you put on Eminem, it gets really serious and rigid, and the one awkward guy is like, this is my jam, and everybody else is just like, okay, I know the lyrics. I'm just going to stand here awkwardly, and it's the antithesis of fun. It's the exact opposite of what you want to be doing when you're with your friends. I guess if you're just somebody that wants to sit in your room and stew about how terrible everything is all the time, and I'm just going to listen to Eminem.
Yeah, throw on Eminem if you want to find out which one of your friends has had the most restraining orders filed against him by their ex-girlfriend.
True.
Because he's the one that's going to get real excited to hear Eminem.
Yeah.
I think it is safe at this point to predict that Eminem will go down in rap history not as the greatest to ever do it, but the single most overrated rapper of all time. How could it go any other way? Add 30 years to all this shit. He's going down in history as the most overrated rapper of all time. And if you don't agree yet that he deserves that, I have one final piece of homework for you. If you have ever wondered if Eminem might be the greatest rapper of all time, I am begging you to please go listen to the song he and Dr. Dre did for the soundtrack of the movie Wild Wild West. It is called Bad Guys Always Die, and it's exactly what you'd expect from that title on the soundtrack of a PG-13 Warner Brothers bomb of an attempted blockbuster. Before we get into this a little bit more, check this out, though. Apparently, Wild Wild West came out right as there were all these new restrictions trying to keep kids out of R-rated movies at the theaters, like a crackdown. We got to stop letting underage kids into R-rated movies. But it was also released at the same time as South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. So, as much money as Wild Wild West failed to make at the box office, that was with thousands of children buying tickets to Wild Wild West and then sneaking into the South Park movie instead.
God, what a time to be alive.
I knew you were going to say that.
What a different fucking world, man. I remember this shit.
I knew you were going to say that.
I remember this shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that kids these days know what buying a ticket to one movie and sneaking into another one is like.
No.
I used to do that shit all the time.
Fuck, I have so many stories, dude. So many fucking stories.
But I do kind of wish Wild Wild West had been seen by more people.
Wait, Wild Wild West. What? I'm trying to remember this movie.
Will Smith?
It was the Will Smith movie.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's the one you're thinking of.
It wasn't popular?
No.
Oh,
it's like
shit.
one of the most historic bombs of all time.
Really?
I mean, it eventually turned a profit because other countries, oh, fuck, a big mechanical spider is like all that people are seeing. But yeah, no, that was a bomb.
Wow, no shit. Didn't Will Smith have a song on it?
That song was legitimately a
that was
hit.
big.
Wild Wild West.
Maybe that's what it is that in my head, the song was so big that, the movie was big too, but the movie wasn't. The song was probably bigger than the movie because the song was very popular.
The song was absolutely bigger than the movie. I would like to see the numbers run and whatever analysis could be done at this point on how popular the song actually was versus how much money was spent promoting it. But either way, I wish more people had gone to see Wild Wild West because then more people would have heard Bad Guys Always Die by Eminem and Dr. Dre.
Sure.
And that would result in fewer conversations about whether or not Eminem is the best rapper of all time. I know some of you are listening to this and you're already thinking that you're going to decide to try liking this song ironically. I promise you can't. It is a hip hop Western song that has Eminem and Dr. Dre acting like enemy gunslingers who become friends or something is the point of the song. It's not even funny on like a so bad it's good level. You will just be mad that you're hearing it. Also, Bone Thugs and Harmony had already done Ghetto Cowboy at that point. So if you haven't heard that, reward yourself for listening to this bullshit by checking out Ghetto Cowboy. Legitimate banger.
It's depressing to me that the person that still exists and putting out music today, of all the fucking rappers and musicians and hip hop artists that came out of that era, fucking Eminem.
Okay, but no, they all are still doing it. It's just that nobody cares. He's the only one that's still getting attention. He's the only one that's still got budgets behind promoting his nonsense that he puts out.
Yeah.
Real fast though, before we move on from the Wild Wild West thing, here's what I think is the funniest aspect of that song's existence. They put it on one of those deluxe, expanded, remastered, blah, blah, blah version re-releases of the Slim Shady LP. So whoever is still paying enough attention to Eminem and also still wants to listen to Hi, My Name Is, however many copies of that person still exist, they buy the new awesome version of the Slim Shady LP. If they ever get around to actually listening to the bonus tracks that are on it, they will just have been listening to, regular old school Eminem songs, and then this Wild Wild West tragedy comes on in the middle of it,
just stuck it on there
to let them know what they actually paid for. Here's the extra thing that you paid for, you stupid fucking idiot. All right, so we could talk about Eminem's newest single, Houdini, but
we are not.
It is basically just a remix of several of his old hit singles.
Blows my mind that people care about this shit.
Everything that we said earlier in this episode about the pendulum that he's on applies to this new song. It's a remix of several of his old hit singles while he complains about getting canceled, even though nobody cares enough to even try canceling him. It was kind of funny to watch the astroturfing on Twitter of them trying to find the 1 or 3 or 5 accounts who were probably Meg Thee Stallion's publicist, AstroTurf, sock puppet accounts complaining about the Meg Thee Stallion line.
Right.
And then the Eminem AstroTurf accounts trying to fucking boost that and act like there was this big beef. But nobody. Did you hear anyone not on the internet talk about this at all?
No.
I haven't heard the song in public once.
No.
For a new Eminem single to not have been played in public one time in my life is crazy. This thing fucking bombed for sure. I don't care what the internet numbers say.
Those numbers are inflated bullshit. They have to be, because no one is talking about this song. Nobody's excited about this song. Talks about Meg Thee Stallion because he knows it's just going to ruffle a few little feathers.
Also, Nicki Minaj already did that. It's not original. It's not inflammatory. No one fucking cares. Also, it's old news at this point. Talk about Drake and fucking Kendrick if you're going to try to jump on the headlines, man.
Eminem is a bitch when it comes to who he... When it comes to who he decides to diss or talk about, why is it always women?
You know exactly why.
I mean, outside of MGK, who the fuck? I mean, which is the biggest dork on planet Earth? Holy shit.
That is the perfect segue into how I would like to close the episode. So instead of pretending like Eminem is still relevant, I would like to do the same thing he would like to do, which is go back to his past and discuss something else. They say you can judge a man by his enemies. I thought as a bonus, we could talk a little bit about Eminem's many feuds with the enemies he has very deliberately chosen. Any other rapper besides Eminem, every single one of them besides him, who for some reason is always treated as an exception, any other rapper besides Eminem who is routinely put forward as the best rapper of all time, if you look at a list of other rappers they had beef with, it's gonna be a bunch of other real rappers who are undeniably among the best rappers of all time. East Coast versus West Coast, Jay-Z versus Nas. LL Cool J had beef with Kool Moe Dee and Ice-T. Somehow, despite talking more shit than any other person who's ever lived, Eminem has never once been in a feud with anyone who was a serious threat as a rapper or a human when he went against them. Kamikaze is supposed to be this scorched earth, the whole album entirely full of disses toward everyone in the world. But if you actually drill down on it, it's just Eminem talking shit on people who are already walking punchlines. Someone else was already shitting on this person before he did. It's a bunch of has-beens like him, or a bunch of never wases like Machine Gun Kelly. Look at the list of people Tupac went after in one song. The Tupac song Against All Odds takes on Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas, and Dr. Dre in one song. And that's not even everyone. That's just the beginning of the list. Get the fuck out of here with Machine Gun Kelly, man. Who cares? Never a threat.
No, the entire list, if you just look it up, is the most embarrassing. This is supposed to be one of the GOATs, the greatest rappers of all fucking time, is supposed to be Eminem. And the people he has chosen to beef with, it's the most punched down list of all time. I read where at some point Lil Wayne made a comment about being on a song with him or not wanting to be on a song with him for whatever reason. Who the fuck knows, really, at the end of the day. Eminem was going to diss him, but then decided not to, or something like that. And as I'm reading this story, I was like, I wish you would have done a diss track about Lil Wayne, at least for once. Of all the people that you dissed, it would have been a good one. Eminem isn't fucking stupid. He doesn't want to go bar for bar with Lil Wayne and the people that actually care about Lil Wayne and his fan base. That doesn't end well for Eminem. So he's got to go after Jermaine Dupri. Who the fuck cares about Jermaine Dupri? Who's ride or die for Jermaine Dupri? Nobody. Nobody goes, oh, I fucking love Jermaine Dupri. Nobody. So if he disses Jermaine Dupri, everyone goes, yeah, fuck that guy. Ja Rule? Who's ride or die for Ja Rule? Fucking nobody.
There are probably like hundreds of clickbait articles that are just like everyone Eminem ever had beef with. That's not what we're about to do. But if stands who want to argue go find one of those, and they're going down the list, and they find someone. Wait, haha! There is a formidable opponent that Eminem has had beef with. 99.999% odds that artist is only on the list because it's someone 50 Cent had beef with, and Eminem was just there. And it was someone that 50 Cent would have had. Also, I don't know if any people remember this about 50 Cent, but that dude had everyone mad. For real mad. Not like for funsies mad. Real mad.
At least 50 Cent picked fights with big artists. He picked a fight with Rick Ross, entertaining as shit. He still talks shit about
Eminem.
him.
So even if someone like wants to say that Ja Rule was a big deal, fine. That was 50's fight. Eminem was just standing there. And Eminem was extremely selective about which one of 50's situations he would and wouldn't get involved in. Someone remind me, when 50 decided to start shit with fucking Wu-Tang Clan, where was Eminem on that one?
Right.
Oh, did Eminem decide to sit that one out? Weird. What about when 50 went after Jay-Z or Lil Wayne? Em didn't have anything to say. That's wild. But he had all kinds of time for Moby, huh? I guess he was really busy thinking of all the things that he should say about Moby and just probably didn't have time in his schedule to feud with the Wu-Tang.
Picking fight with people that aren't even rappers most of the time. He picked a fight with Nick Cannon. Are you fucking kidding me? Nick Cannon? Of all people? Pick a real battle, pick a real fight, but he knows at the end of the day, he can't do that.
I think we're going to get to why Nick Cannon may have had beef with Eminem. I think Mariah Carey may have had something to do with that. But before we get to this, I do want to address one thing that's been funny across the entire course of Eminem's career, which is how surprised he seems anytime someone says some shit back to him. How mad he gets, literally every single time. Anytime someone says something back to him, he gets so serious and he takes what the other person said so seriously. Because he obviously takes himself way too seriously. It's like, guy, you've probably talked more shit than any other rapper in history. Did you really think none of it was ever going to come back at you? I think that is what he thought. I think he believes himself to be such a threat. Once you cross this line, Eminem's going to have bars for you. And that's the last thing you want is Eminem to have bars for you, that he's legitimately shocked when anyone actually says something back to him, and he gets so fucking mad. The ultimate example of someone who can dish it out but not take it, all you need to look at is the Triumph the Insult comic dog footage. Definitely go find that footage. It is a fucking hand puppet. It is a hand puppet
of a dog
with a cigar. And Eminem tries to fight it.
Yeah, he punched it. Right.
He tries to fight it because he is so scared of being made fun of. He is so scared of being the butt of the joke if he's not the one making the joke. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to do the whole list of his whole feuds. Again, you can just go find the clickbait articles. What I think is worth doing, though, is to fill in some gaps I think most folks probably missed. For example, everybody knows Eminem and his mom were going at it for a long time. He made very many songs hating on her. She sued him, blah, 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 blah. These are the things that people know. What I think most people who tuned out probably do not know is that Eminem eventually walked all of that back. In 2013, on the Marshall Mathers LP2, which, yeah, that's how hard he was already trying to cash those nostalgia checks over a decade ago. Should let everyone know how things are going. On the Marshall Mathers LP2 in 2013, the song Headlights, the whole song is an apology and kind of like a tribute to his mom. After all of the shit that Eminem said about his mom, turns out his mom won the beef.
He was cleaning out his closet, as he likes to say.
Yeah, he said he can't even listen to that song anymore.
Oh,
like it bothers him so much that he said all of that.
Then delete it off Spotify. Do us a favor.
Yeah, fucking
do us a favor. Just delete it.
All right, let's see. There's the tiff with Fred Durst, which is obviously just jealousy because Fred Durst is a better rapper.
The fact that Fred Durst gets people more hyped and more energized at their shows than Eminem. I mean, everyone's going to be fucking amped if you put on Limp Bizkit.
I'm already thinking about how much more fun we're going to have listening to Limp Bizkit after this than we're having right now recording this. All right, around the time of the movie 8 Mile, Weird Al Yankovic had... Is it Yankovic or Yankovic?
Yankovic, I believe.
Whatever. Who fucking cares?
Al, reach out.
Fuck you, Weird Al. I'm gonna start beef with Weird Al.
Dude, we need to start beef.
So Weird Al had a new album out around the time of 8 Mile, and the lead single was a parody of Lose Yourself, which Eminem had to have approved because Weird Al always gets permission. This is a known thing about Weird Al. He always gets permission because he doesn't want anyone to feel any type of way about him making jokes. You know, it's just fun. And if you're not having fun, he's not having fun. But then Weird Al wanted to make a video. This was the lead single, so he wants to make a video for it, obviously. And the video was going to parody a bunch of Eminem's videos. And that's where Eminem drew the line. He said no. I want to say he sent a cease and desist. I'm not sure. There are like interviews. Weird Al has talked about it because weirdly, he's not afraid of Eminem. Can you imagine that? Someone not being afraid of Eminem, the ultimate threat? Is this not one of the most flabbergasting instances of hypocrisy you have ever heard of? No one would know Eminem's name if not for his early music videos where he parodies everything and everyone. But then when someone wants to parody him, that's not okay. Even though it's fucking Weird Al who wrote the playbook of parody music videos, which Eminem used to get famous.
P.S. The largest, possibly in fucking history, artist to ever walk the planet, Michael fucking Jackson, got the Weird Al treatment, and it's still up. Those threats were made, no feelings were hurt. It still exists. They got approval. Eminem, you fucking dork, you can't let Weird Al do a parody of your shit.
Say what you will about Michael Jackson, but I'm not going to finish that sentence.
Who are you, Eminem, of all the people that he's parodied, all the other hip hop artists and stuff that he's done? Eminem, of all people, you fragile little baby.
While somehow maintaining the image of this guy who just doesn't give a fuck. Yeah. I'm crazy and I'll say anything and I don't give a fuck. Oh, Weird Al, stop it, please. No.
Yeah. What would have been funny if he was actually funny as everyone pretends that he is? Weird Al parodied his stuff and then he made a diss track about Weird Al or something like that. That would have actually been funny. But he's not actually funny. He takes himself so serious that even the parody guy, he gets upset about it.
He cannot handle a joke being made at his expense unless he's the one making it. Even that Seth Rogen and James Franco movie, The Interview.
Yeah.
Eminem is in it. He like comes out as gay, and I'm sure he thought that was very funny because he was involved. Okay, now imagine if that movie came out and Eminem's not in the movie at all, but there's a character who claims to have worked with Eminem, and that character is the one who says all the same stuff, exactly the same stuff that Eminem said about him being secretly gay. How do you think Eminem's going to react to that?
Poorly.
Lose his fucking mind.
Absolutely.
What's left of it. Here's another one. A lot of Mariah Carey fans think the Mariah Carey songs Clown and Obsessed are both about Eminem. Check these out. Obsessed is a maybe. I would say Clown seems like it is probably definitely about Eminem. And y'all can like waste your own time finding out why Mariah and Eminem would be having words for each other and Nick Cannon getting involved too. But I don't care about that. Like you find that on your own time. These lyrics though are worth our time. I should have left it at how you doing. I should have left it at I like your music too. I should have never called you back when you pursued me. Yada, yada, yada. You should have never intimated we were lovers when you know very well we never even touched each other.
This is 100% about Eminem.
Who's going to love you when your bankroll runs out? Who's going to care when the novelty's over? When the star of the show isn't you anymore, nobody cares when the tears of a clown fall down.
Wow. Mariah Carey wrote a fucking diss track about Eminem.
These lyrics are far more savage than anything Eminem has ever said about anyone.
Yes.
You don't want the world to know that you're just a puppet show, and the little boy inside often sits at home alone and cries.
Jesus Christ.
Isn't that rough?
Jeez Louise.
Dude, can you imagine Mariah Carey shitting on you in front of the world like that?
Oh my God.
Especially if your whole career is that you're the guy who shits on people in front of the world and they never recover from it. And then Mariah Carey just ends you.
Yeah. Mariah Carey was like queen shit in the late 90s, early 2000s. Definitely in the late 90s. Now, if you're like, who's Mariah Carey? Why does it matter?
Oh, no. The children know who she is, dude. She's like a meme.
She was Queen Bee at the time.
The kids know Mariah. Mariah's attitude is popular with the children. I can vouch for that.
I wonder if he ever dissed her secretly. He probably
No, he did it like very publicly and blatantly and far more ineffectually than you would think possible given someone coming for you that hard. His stans think that he got her, but he did not get her.
Mariah Carey disses you just have to roll with it. You just have to.
That's a shit sandwich and you're going to have to eat the whole thing.
To eat it. That's correct.
A lot of people don't know this, but Snoop Dogg spent about 15 years sneak dissing Eminem. Once you know to look for it, you can find this all over the place. If Snoop is on a red carpet and someone asks him about Eminem, Snoop is almost always going to deflect and start talking about something else. Usually Dr. Dre. He'll start talking about his actual friend whose music he actually respects. He'll say some shit like, whoever Dr. Dre's working with, you know, it's going to be big because if Dr. Dre gets behind it, then it's going to be a hit. And this is someone who's like, I asked you what you thought about Eminem. And he's going to evade. He's going to hype up someone who he actually believes in because he knows if he says too much shit about Eminem, he will eventually slip up and call Eminem whack because that's what he really thinks about him.
There is a interview that I just happened to see, Snoop Dogg interview from very recently where somebody asked him straight up, what do you think about Houdini?
The new song.
Yes, the new song. And he sings the hook, which is whatever I can't remember what they sampled.
It's Steve Miller.
Right. It's the sample that they use. So he sings the sample a little bit and then he's like, yeah, Eminem, you know, he's like Houdini, like disappears and then he reappears again, kind of like a magician. And then he sang the hook again. But that's all he said. When somebody asked you, what do you think about X? What do you think about this band? Or what do you think about this? You would just say, great guys. Really like them. Good people. Which is basically your way of saying this music fucking sucks. Basically what he's saying. He's singing the hook, which is not an Eminem. It's just a sample of a song. So he's singing the sample and then he's basically saying, yeah, Eminem exists.
Snoop Dogg has thought that Eminem is whack for a long time, and it's very easy to read between the lines of things he has said for a very long time. Even if you can't do that, though, there is a leaked interview from the year 2006 where Snoop straight up said he doesn't listen to Eminem's music and made fun of the entire concept of the song Stan. It's actually a very funny recording, and I would encourage you to find it. That interview, 2006. In 2009, Snoop releases the song 2 Minute Warning. And it's not even really a song. It doesn't have like a verse chorus structure. It's kind of just a long verse and this song is done. From listening to it, one could get the sense that the entire point of the song is fuck Eminem. His shit is an act. I've been the real deal since before you ever heard of him. When that came out, all that Snoop had done is sneak diss him. That interview from 2006 didn't come out with all that shit that he was talking. And people didn't know to look at this that way. They didn't know that Eminem was getting trashed in this song. In retrospect, it's pretty likely that this song is meant to say fuck Eminem because more recently in the year 2020, Snoop went on The Breakfast Club and said not only was Eminem not on his list of the top 10 rappers ever, Snoop said he could totally live without ever hearing Eminem's music again. That's only in 2020 do you finally get public, direct evidence that Snoop has never really been on board with the Eminem thing. Shots fired, right? Maybe Eminem is finally going to get his hands into some real beef now, right? You know, a real rapper just came for him. Everyone's been waiting for this to happen to see what Eminem would do. Well, what Eminem did was respond with the song Zeus. And anyone who still thinks he's the best rapper ever should be forced to listen to it in its entirety because it's pathetic. I got to imagine it would be like watching your hero piss his pants when someone challenges him to a fight. Instead of firing back at Snoop, Eminem basically just says his feelings got hurt. But he also, on brand, manages to do that in the corniest way possible. More kindergarten level wordplay. Last thing I need is Snoop dogging me. Man, dog, you was like a god to me. Nah, not really. I had dog backwards.
Dude,
that's the level of insight this guy is bringing, man.
Yeah.
Did you know that the word God and dog
But fucking A, man, this is a grown ass man. I don't know if you know this, but you're allowed to also just call him. You know what I mean? Or shoot him a text message. Do you have to put everything out in a song? Oh man, Snoop Dogg hurt my fucking feelings. I gotta write a song about it. I just can't fathom having to respond to every tiny little poke. That's not even a poke. That's just basically saying, like, look, dude, that's not my kind of music. You're allowed to not like fucking somebody's music, man.
Can you imagine though, like having a front row backstage access seat to this entire career? Snoop was working heavily with Dr. Dre at the same time as Eminem came on board. And then you just got to sit there and you get it. You're behind the scenes. You see what's happening. You see how these lyrics are written. You see how these songs are produced. You see the beats they're working with. You see the way that everyone coddles this guy and how the rules are different for him. And you see the way that he's treated differently. If you said any of the shit that he says on a tape, you as who you are cannot do the things that he can do because of who he is. And he's even tried to acknowledge it in a cutesy way. If I was black, I would have sold half.
Sure.
So just professionally, it's got to be really frustrating to watch someone who does not deserve more get exponentially more.
Everything Snoop Dogg ever did was better than anything that Eminem ever did.
Obviously.
You want to listen to Snoop Dogg.
I would listen to Snoop Dogg's reggae phase before I would listen to Eminem.
The worst of Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Lion.
Yes, that's right. Snoop Lion, I forgot. The worst of things that he made is still better than a majority of any Eminem's music. It just is. I wonder how much Dr. Dre just straight up has protected him from a lot of shit. The association with Dre and people respecting Dre for various reasons.
Let's cancel Dr. Dre from the equation and imagine sending Eminem back to everything he had going on before Dr. Dre. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Now that we live in the future and the children on the internet have discovered the way that things work, the term industry plant gets thrown around a lot these days. What would you call Eminem? Assigned the same criteria. What would you fucking call this guy? There was no grassroots anything until...
I think if you were to take his name out of it, if you could tweak it in a little bit so that nobody could piece it together that it was the exact story of Eminem, definitely 100% be like, that's an industry plant. Every step of the entire thing, it has that feel to it. It has a very inorganic feel to it. It just does.
If your favorite industry plant is Eminem,
your favorite band sucks.
You are welcome for listening to so much of your favorite band sucks over this past month. You can show your appreciation for our flawless series on Eminem by sharing it with everyone you know. As always, we recommend taking a trip over to shop.yfbspod.com to support the show by picking up some merch. I'm not wasting my time responding to all of the brain-dead arguments Eminem fans have tried to hit us with over the course of this whole series. But by far, the most pervasive idiocy stands have pushed in our direction is trying to point to the original and outdated 1970s definition of freestyle in order to say Eminem wasn't out of line for using and recycling pre-written lyrics in what were supposed to be freestyle rap battles in the 90s. Hey dum-dums, you'd know this if you actually listened to rap and not just Eminem, but the meaning of freestyle had completely changed by the 1990s. If freestyle still meant what you want it to mean in the 90s, then Eminem himself, in the rap battles you're trying to defend, would not have accused his opponents of using pre-written lyrics against him as though that were a bad thing. I realize only an abject moron could stand for this joke of a rapper, but holy fucking shit, how stupid can you actually be? The only note I have on this episode is pointing out the final verse on Ghostface Killer's Winter Wars is by Capadonna, not Ghostface. Just want to make sure all you pedantic internet denizens out there enjoying the show for the first time didn't think I was saying that final verse was by Ghostface. It's just on his song, even though Ghostface is fucking incredible and also light years beyond Eminem as a rapper. That particular verse was by Capadonna, who you should also listen to. Okay, I'm super fucking busy right now. I have a book coming out from a major publisher. You should check that out, Cocaine and Rhinestones from Simon & Schuster, if you can read. As a result, we've got to take another break before getting back to releasing some normal episodes, but do not freak out. We'll be back a lot sooner than last time. Meanwhile, never forget, your favorite band sucks.